All right, it's time for a Friday Reads and a bit of a film and reading goals check-in. Hey everyone, it is Shannon and I'm super happy to be here today and to share with you this video. I have not been doing videos recently and I do apologize for that. I really didn't mean to just like full stop take a real, I think it's like 6 weeks since I've done a video or something like that, especially since I summed up my currently reading challenge and then just nothing. I really had a couple weeks where I had like something extra on the schedule and then that something extra got rescheduled due to weather because we're at that time of year where I have to reschedule things due to weather. And then I just really fell out of habit of filming, so I apologize for that. It was not intentional, and I should have posted it on the community tab. I always appreciate when other people post on the community tab. I don't think I've ever used the community tab, so I should have done that. Maybe that'll be a goal for next year, to post more on the community tab. Not that I'm actually not really ready to make goals for next year yet. Let's stick in the now. I thought what I would do today is share a little bit about how my reading has been going, because that's usually what my Friday reads are about, is what I've been reading, what I've started, what I finished, and anything I'm carrying over for the week to week. That is usually my Friday reads. To be honest, I really have not been reading very much, but I thought I would share how my goals have gone since the last video and what I do plan to read for the future, which is not a lot. There's not much left in the year. And then also how my film goals have gone, because we're getting to the point where I don't think I'm going to complete anymore. I try and have my goals, generally speaking, in years past, I try and have my goals done by the end of November, and this year I tried to have them done by the end of October, which worked for the currently reading challenge. I do continue to track everything, of course, but I try and have my goals done by October, because November is always a very full and challenging month, and then also weather. And then December, I can't commit to anything, and so I don't have goals, which is why I shifted to having things done earlier. So anyway, so let's see how I did do in terms of my reading goals. I did finish one more challenge, which was a new challenge for this year. I made a challenge for an A to Z kids books challenge, and this was actually sort of like picture books. So I wanted to read one title from each letter of the alphabet for kids books, because in the past couple years I've noticed I've really enjoyed reading kids books and adding them into the mix of things, and they've ended up, I think when they ended up on my top 5 every month for like many months in a row, I'm like, maybe I should read more. And so I have, and I did finish the challenge for reading 26 kids books, one for each letter of the alphabet. I definitely read more of them, more than 26 this year, but it was a really great challenge. As always, there was there's some letters that are more challenging than others. For X, I read an X-Files picture book with Mulder and Scully as kids camping out in one of their backyards and then getting scared. And it was really wonderful. And then for Z, I read Zero Zebras, which was a counting book about, and it also talked about like math elements, and it had lots of animals in it, which is another thing that I love in books. And and it also talked about like infinity, and so it actually had some math principles in there, which was pretty cool. A fair amount of the kids' books I read were sort of STEM oriented, which was interesting to see. I'd come across that really as much, and I certainly didn't read anything like that when I was a kid, as far as I can remember. It was all more like adventure or animals or but not like math and science and technology. So that was interesting. But I did finish that challenge, and I'm very, very happy that I finished that challenge. I also have one more challenge that I am working on, and that is my A to Z graphic novel and comics challenge. I finished one more yesterday for and I think I now have, how many do I have? I thought I had 6 left, so now I have 5 left. I have started another X-Files title, an X-Files 30 Days of Night crossover. Sorry, I didn't prep any pictures today. This is more just chatty catch-up video. But yeah, so I found an X-Files 30 Days of Night crossover, but it's really scary. I don't know if it's scary, but it's very gory and disturbing. And I'm like, of course X-Files is going to be gory and disturbing. So I haven't come back to it. I started it ages ago, and I will finish it. And I started a Young Justice comic, and I did get Zed for Zantana. It was about someone whose father's a magician and a magic house. I mean, that's always good. But there's always some letters that are hard. I still have Q. I think I have K. Q, K, X, and Z are always the challenge, and sometimes J for comics and graphic novels. But I'm very close. I have picked stuff out. Oh, I picked out another Phoebe and her unicorn unicorn for a day. It's a bit of a cheat because I've read a lot of Phoebe and her unicorn series, which is sort of it's a kid's comic. I guess you'd say it's a kid's comic, and I love it so much. But I did catch up with it, I think, earlier this year. But a new one is out, so I'm counting Unicorn for a day. It definitely, when I looked at it versus the other U titles, I was like, no. So I do plan on finishing that challenge for the end of the year. Hopefully in the next little while. Actually, I hope to finish it during Grinchathon, which starts today, Friday, December 15th. It is created and hosted by Izzy, Punk Rock Girl PA. I will leave a link to her announcement video up above and down below if you would like to check out. I think most of the discussion and fun good times is going to be had over at the Discord. So definitely check that out if you want to participate. Information in her announcement video. And I think I am going to mostly focus on during Grinchathon finishing these last comics and graphic novels. I also do want to finish Persona 4. I'm in volume 11, and there's 11, 12, 13. That's for Dai's Monochrome Manga Club, and finishing out the series this year. And then I almost was able to post like after I read 10, and then I left it too long, and I'm like, oh, we're probably talking about 11 now. So I really hope to finish that off and then chat in the Discord about that. I'm so curious to hear people's thoughts, and I've really enjoyed the series, and it's good. It'll be great to get another series done by the end of the year. And then I did start the last book in the Bunnicula series, Bunnicula meets Edgar Allan Poe, and it's actually, from what I can tell, I think it's written a fair amount after the previous one, and there are spin-offs and stuff like that, and there are supplementary works and stuff like that in Bunnicula, but I'm gonna leave it at this one, and I really do hope to finish that one. And so those are sort of like, that's what I'm using Grinchathon. I'm totally using Grinchathon to get my goals done. So the rest of the letters, finishing Persona 4 and finishing that Bunnicula title, and I'm calling it there. I haven't really added much more. I did start a new Warcraft book, War of the Ancients trilogy, number 3 of 3, The Sundering by Richard A. Knack. I started it, but I am only on like page 22 out of like 380. So yeah, I do want to read this. This is going to get carried over to next year, but I'm not worried too much about that. But other than that, I only have an audiobook and a buddy read, and those have their own pacing, so I'm not worried about those either. And also Grinchathon is going to have a live show in the week of Grinchathon, which will be next week, and we're going to do that instead of picking out a new buddy read, because I have not been reading very much, so I asked if we could pick up again in January, and Izzy and Kay Kelly graciously said that was a-okay. So I really appreciate that, because my reading has not been great. Like I knew after the Currently Reading Challenge summed up, I would not read as much, but I did not anticipate reading this little. And I'm feeling a little, I wouldn't necessarily go into the realm of concern yet, because honestly, I have ebbed and flowed with how much I've read, like in my life. Like sometimes it's very much been a lot of what I do, and sometimes I've gone like years where I've read almost nothing. So I don't know if I'm heading into a period like that, or if I'm just like put a lot of effort and I just need to step back for a bit. But I feel a bit indifferent, which is not something I'm used to generally. Like in any element, I usually have a strong reaction or idea or, whatever, pull or whatever. And so being a little more indifferent is not something I'm used to. And so I don't know. I keep on feeling like I should take time to reflect on stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know. I spent a lot of time and energy on reading, especially for the currently reading challenge. I feel like I did my part. I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I did it. But I also don't want to like fear starting things. You know what I mean? And I don't have, and I set new goals every year, and sometimes years I don't even have goals. So it's not like there's some kind of like long-term consistency I'm trying not to mess with. I don't really understand what's going on. But it also, like, I will say, reading and talking about reading and books has been very at the forefront of my channel for many years. And if I don't read as much, I do wonder what's going to happen in terms of what I share on the channel and what that will be like. And I've always maintained this is not a booktube channel. I started it to share anything I want to share. And I've generally talked about books, film, TV, and sometimes art and sometimes knitting. And those are still things that I am all interested in, but some more than others, and some are easier to talk about than others. I still haven't figured out a great way to talk about TV without spoiling or, setting myself up for spoilers. So that's always a bit of a tricky spot. So sometimes a long time ago, I used to do reactions to series premieres, and that was really fun and also quite successful. But now that things are on streaming, you don't usually have access. So much is on streaming, and streaming, I do feel like, has now become the norm of how people watch something, with the exception of like really like hot ticket shows that like on like Disney and I don't think Netflix does a lot of like only shows the first episode. So usually you get at least 2 episodes and then maybe it turns to weekly. But generally when a series is up, the whole thing is there. So anyway, that doesn't mean there isn't a possibility for something there. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. So yeah, so I do wonder if I'm not reading as much, how is the channel going to be? Like, I've done Friday reads for so long. What if I don't have anything to say? I don't know. Anyway, that's a next year problem. I'm not going to worry about that right now, because I do feel like this will probably be my last video of 2023. And I didn't want to just sort of unceremoniously leave things where they were, because I didn't share that I was taking a break. And I do usually take a break in December and sometimes in January, or like some or all of both the months, but I usually have at least a video to that like lets people know. So anyway, so that's how my reading's been going. It hasn't been a lot, but I do have a couple more plans for the rest of the year, and which will mostly be next week, in terms of trying to get my goals done during Grinchathon, because it's always such a great, wonderful, positive, read whatever you want together kind of, there's no pressure, only support, and I love that. It's one of the great things about Grinchathon, so I really appreciate that. Yeah, so I'll be doing that, and then so now let's take a look at how my film goals went for the year. So I only had 5 film goals this year. I thought I would pare it down. Last year I had like, I don't know, 30 or something. So, and I've had years without any film goals at all. So, but this year I had 5. Which did I do? I did succeed in getting my watch list for 2023. So this was a list of films that were coming out in 2023 that I was interested in. I did make that list, and I did do videos for that list. I did 3 separate videos. There were so many movies, I had 3 separate videos. So that was really, really exciting. And I actually finished that quite early in the year, although I guess most people do that kind of thing like in like January. I'm like quite early in July and August. It's all good. I did it. I'm thrilled. I'm so thrilled about that. I also wanted to update my personal watch list. This was a fail because I think I don't exactly, know what list I'm referring to when I say personal watch list. 2, I don't necessarily love the term watch list. It's, I would prefer, I don't know, want to see list or something like that. And 3, I felt like there were several lists that I would have to cobble together and like make lots of choices, and it was a lot about things I was interested in the past, and what I would have to like research whether I still wanted to, and what are the parameters here, and it just became very messy. So I'm just like, actually, I don't think I want to do that. I actually do like that I have like my watch list year to year. So like my most anticipated films of the year, that's what my 2023 one was. And I did make one in 2022. And I think that's a great practice. It lets you know, it's like a time capsule of what the year was like, what you were interested in the year. But I don't think of it as like a promise to myself that I'm going to watch all of these films. I mean, some of them I just put on there because they were super popular and it was like, wow, after 20 years, more Avatar. Like that was from last year. I'm not actually interested in watching it for a variety of reasons, but, you know, it's a bit of a time capsule. Whereas there are other films, I'm like, yeah, I was super interested in seeing that and I'm really glad that I did. So I like that, and it can stay as a 2022, anticipated films, 2023 anticipated films. So I think next year I'm actually just going to start with a fresh slate and just make a list in year releases and anything I'm interested in and just start anew. Because I feel like this sort of leads into my next one, which was I also wanted an exploration of what types of films do I love now. And I think this is not a 1 year question and answer, but it is a valuable question and answer, and I didn't do a lot of work on it. I did do a couple of videos where I watched some stuff, I did a video and I shared thoughts on it, and I thought if I did that repeatedly enough, I would have a good sense of I like this and I don't like that, more of this, less of that. And but I stopped doing that because I didn't watch that many movies this year, which is shocking. New to me movies. I didn't watch many. And I had a couple of bumpy parts where I had like several in a row that were like, it's okay. That is never helpful. So, and it's a big question. What films do I love now? Or what kind of film lover am I now? Which might be a bit better of a question for me. So I think both of those are things that I'm going to work on in 2024, keeping an eye out for what piques my interest. What did I enjoy and why, and what did I not enjoy and why, and just continue to build on that. There are some things, I think when we have long-term interests, there are some threads that stay with us forever, like I will always love dance movies, and then there's some things that sort of come in and out at different times of our lives. I cannot think of an example of that because all of the things are things that I always love. But I might go through a phase of watching, I don't know, inspirational teacher movies. I always like those, or sport movies, but it might not be always when there's a new one I want to see it. Both of those are horrible examples because of course I would want to see it. So, but you know what I mean? Like whatever it may be. There's also trends in film. So like in the sort of 2009, 2010, there were tons of horror remakes. And so that became a thing. So I watched a whole bunch of them, and I watched the original and I watched the remake, and I thought about them, and that was sort of situational and zeitgeist of the moment, zeitgeist nostalgia sort of situation. So that was unique to the moment, and you can't predict when stuff like that's going to happen. Anyway, but I do think that there are and that was really of interest to me at a time, and now I have less interest in remakes generally. Like they're curious, like I'm curious about them, but almost never are they going to hold up to the original, and they really are for the next or / new generation, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, horror is really a genre that has lots of remakes. So anyway, I think I failed both at updating my personal watch list, but I recognized that I didn't actually know what I wanted from that, and now I do, and I don't want what I want is I don't want to retool ideas from years past. I'm happy I made lists in years past. I want a new list. What am I interested in now? And I might just like watch some trailers and be like, am I interested in this? And if the answer is yes, it goes on the list. And if the answer is no, then it doesn't. Like simple as that. So I don't know. So maybe I should do some trailer reactions. I actually don't know how to do that. But anyway, I will retool that for next year. Maybe not as a goal, but just as a practice. And then in terms of exploration, I totally failed. What films do I love now? I don't know. I didn't actually watch enough new films to be able to answer that question. So that was a fail. Also, my series in focus this year was the Fast and the Furious series. My goal was to rewatch all of the films that I had already seen, plus watch the 2 that I hadn't, F9 and F10 or FX. I got to 3 out of the 11 films. So I watched Fast and the Furious and Too Fast, Too Furious multiple times, like 3 to 4 times throughout the year, and I did watch Tokyo Drift. So I did watch Tokyo Drift, and I'm very, very happy about it. The challenge I had was I felt like at some point I wanted to do videos, and I think I did do a video about the first one. I can't remember if I posted it or not. And I've actually done that twice now, like for different times a new Fast and Furious film has come out. Wanting to rewatch them and wanting to do videos and all of these things, and I have failed both times. So no luck there, and there's not, even though there is still a couple weeks left in the year, there's not enough time for me. At this point of the year, I generally only rewatch films. I'm too tired to watch something new, with the exception of I usually do watch something new like at Christmas and something new, so a couple new, and New Year's. I do like to get, like, by the end of the year, like the week of New Year's or on New Year's, I do like to watch like one film that I really wanted to see that's a new release that I haven't seen yet, especially if it's science fiction or fantasy. That's become a very odd, specific tradition, but I do like to do, like, just get one more in. And last year it was, I think, a Godzilla movie that I watched with my sister Susie. And but generally speaking, I'm not going to be able to get a film series in. There's too much to do. I can't, my retention level is not high enough. So I will get a couple more in, but not a whole film series, not going to happen. So that's okay. I did really enjoy watching all of those. There's just one moment in Too Fast, Too Furious that I really don't like and have to skip over. And then I hadn't watched Tokyo Drift for a long time, so that was really fun. It has some gender crap in it, like, and they all do. They all have some just masses of, like, just eye candy situations. I don't know if they all do, but so far these 3 do. And it is something that I actually associate with the film series, which is one of the reasons why I find it surprising that I like it. But there's so many other elements I like about it. Found family, trusting, yourself, trusting other people. There's always some action. The car chases I don't care too much about, which is one of the hilarious things, and I love the series. But I do, and I love the characters. I really do. So anyway, but I am hoping to continue it just generally, especially I do think when I get to Fast and Furious, which is the 4th film, I think it's going to be smooth sailing. So it's like, I'm almost there. I am so close. And I have not rewatched that one for years, and I watched that one after Fast 5. I didn't even come back to that one because I missed Tokyo Drift. I just didn't watch it, or Too Fast or Furious. So I came back to the series after seeing Fast 5 in the theater and being like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. It was one of my favorite movies of the year. And mind you, it is a lot better than 2 and 3. But anyway, so obviously I still have a lot of love and energy for the Fast and the Furious series. I just did not make it through. So I got 3 out of 11 on that. So that's 4 out of my goals. I completed the anticipated films and then failed and failed and failed. And then the last goal I had was to make a list of all of the films that I have ever seen. This was an epic endeavor, and I started it last year, and I have kept detailed records since 2006 of what films I've seen, including minimum the date that I saw them and the title, and then potentially, depending on what year it was, I included things like, actors and directors and genres, how I saw it, where I saw it, why I saw it, which is a really good category. Why did you see it? If it was what I rated it, where the film, what country the film was from, what language it was in. And so I've kept records since 2006, but they're all in different methods. So I pulled a bunch from Letterboxd because I was tracking there for several years. I had a database. I had a database with detailed records for several years, and then I had this big, long list on a website that I used to have, and it was just an A to Z list with no information. So that includes anything I had seen prior to 2006, as best to my memory. I don't know. But what I did was with that list is anytime I remembered a film that I didn't notate, like, or if there is a new film that came out in a series, like I think when Scream 4 came out, I added Scream 2, Scream 3, and Scream, you know, and now Scream has to be Scream in like the year it came out, because there was like the new one. Is there a new one, or is it like the next one still called Scream? I'm not sure. I've not been following the Scream franchise. Anyway, so I had to cobble together all of these different things, and then I had to search. I had to alphabetize it, search for duplicates, and then mark it against this big long list that was just the A to Z list. Again, alphabetize it. I did it by letter. Add in anything that wasn't in my detailed records to the big long list, check for duplicates again, and then I also had to make sure that everything was formatted correctly, because if it's like The Hunt for Red October, it actually needs to be under H for Hunt for Red October, comma, the. So it's, you know, so I had to check for all of the uhs and the a's and the ands to make sure they were like that. And then I did have, there were some tricky parts in terms of, there's like an also known as or original title for films where the title is, I didn't have super consistency on if it's a film that's not in English and the title isn't in English, whether I filed it under the English title or the original title. So that I had to be very careful of what the best thing went. And I don't think I went super consistent on that. I think I went with how I know the film. So I always had both titles, but how I did it was a little bit different. And any film that had a one-word title, I added the year, right? Scream, you know, them, the thing. Okay, that's 2 words. But like, there's a lot, like shout. I don't know if there's any films like a lot of horror movies, you know. But yeah, if it's one word and it's a noun, I mean, Pulse. I've seen 3 separate films called Pulse. Red. Again, 3 separate films called Red. Anyway, so it was a lot of work. I guess I'm sort of overstating that it was a lot of work, but I did it. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I actually just finished last week. I finally made it through all of the films. I didn't include this year because when I finish this year, I will add this year, and because the formatting is indifferent. I'm doing it in Excel, and so the formatting is, there's lots of information, and some things I literally just have the title, and some things I have the title, the year it was released, the date it was released, the date that I saw it, where I saw it, who directed it, who's in it, what genre it is, what rating I gave it, why I saw it, did I say that twice, you know, what language it was in, and so it just can go on and on and on and on and on. So, and sometimes it's like, you know, red, you know, I don't know. Or what was it? There was one, Red Dawn. Red Dawn. I almost forgot the second Red Dawn. No, I almost forgot the original Red Dawn. Because there's 2 films. Because there's one from 1984. And then the one that came out in the last 10 years. Anyway, so I did finally finish it. Thank you for sticking with me through all of that rambling. And if you want to know the number, here we go. This is the number, the amount of films I have seen up to the end of 2022, as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, is 4,745 films. So, yeah, it's a big number. I have to say it's a little short of where I thought it might be. I really did think I might have hit 5,000, but of course, that just gives me a new goal to try and get to, because I really, I really do want to hit 5,000 films, and I thought it really was. This also, just FYI, does include short films that I saw at film festivals, and so some of those are like 3, 5, 10, 12, 20 minutes, but short films count, and I, you know, with my reading, I count comics, poems, collections, you know, novellas, just as much as I count novels. In fact, last year, even though I read over, I actually don't know how much I read. It was over 200 titles, but I think it was like 12 novels. Like, it was not a lot of novels. So my films is more films and more feature length films than short films, but still, yeah. So 4,745 by the end of 2023. This year, I think I've only watched about 33 new to me films, so that's not going to make a huge increase, but so hope maybe next year. I think it would be ambitious, given how many films I saw this year, to say by the end of next year I could hit 5,000, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. So anyway, so that was for me the big, like, hitting that goal of finishing that list was epic. Like, I feel very happy. And now if I'm considering watching a movie and I'm not sure if I've seen it, I can go to this list and check, and I can know at least with full confidence if I saw it between 2006 and 2000 and the current, right? So if I saw it when I was a kid, that's one thing. If I saw it when I was younger than 2006, that's one thing. But it's not something I've seen in my film journey since 2006, and so I feel good about that. Yeah, so it's nice. It's really nice to have a big complete list, and it's a lot of movies. It is a lot of movies, I will say, but it's not quite as many as I thought, but that's okay. It's totally fine. Yeah, it's a lot. So there we have it. So I think, as I said, I think this will be my last video for the year. Thank you so much for sticking with me through the periods of times that I didn't have any videos. I'm really hoping to be way more consistent next year. And I haven't quite decided exactly what I'm going to do and when I'm going to come back. I do think I need to think about stuff, especially since I'm not reading as much, and I really do want to watch more movies next year. So I think there's going to be more film-related videos next year, potentially some vlogs, and maybe just some general vlogs. I really have been craving, I've enjoyed watching and craving doing sort of like everyday life type videos. And I love when people do that, or when they incorporate some everyday life stuff into their regular videos. I really appreciate it, and I love to see it. So, and I would love to share it as well. So those are some light goals. I heard more ideas. They're more the realm of ideas than goals. But yeah, so I hope that you had a really great 2013, and have, and if you didn't, I hope 2023. And if you didn't, I hope that you have a better 2024. It really is right around the corner. I hope you are having, or will have, a good holiday season and a very happy and safe new year. And I will see you in the new year. Thanks so much for sticking with me. I know I've been very inconsistent. It's not my way, but sometimes it is what happens. And yeah, next year back to, the way. Whatever that will be. I'll have to figure out what that is. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a video in the new year. Take care.